Well done. That was a tough one. Right. Alright, burpees aren't everybody's favorite, but it gets you strong. Very well. Right. Okay, so, word of the week. There's one thing I promised Mr. George that we're going to be doing at least once every 4 weeks, right? So I just want to ask you guys, how many of you guys play games here on your phone? Most of them. Most of them. Yeah, they look like they haven't seen anything. Alright. PlayStation 5? Huh? No, I don't have either. But I'll tell you a story because nowadays we have phones and like you got games on your phones. Back in the day, right, we used to have, it was something similar to a PlayStation 5, but the disc or the game came in this like plastic cassette with a big chip. And we used to load these things inside the machine, and when the game didn't work, we should just take out that disc and blow it and put it back inside, right? Just with our freaking bread, and it should magically work. But a few weeks back, I went to check out my nephew, and he got a PlayStation 5. Right. And I noticed what he was playing was this game called, I'll tell you what's the name of the game. It was called Black Myth Wukong. So it was like this Chinese game with this ancient monkey god. Right, but it was really, really cool. And I asked him what type of game is this? And he told me it was an RPG game. And I was like, what's an RPG game? He said, he looked at me, very confused, like I should know this. But he told me that it's a role-playing game. So I was like, oh, it's similar to the games that I played was Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Sonic the Hedgehog. Right, those are the games I played. And when I played games, I played it at an arcade. Back in the day, we used to go to a spot, maybe a local superette or your takeaway, and they should have games where you put 50 cents in. That's how old I am, right? Put 50 cents, I think the most we ever paid was R1 to play a game. So anyway, I was interested and intrigued, and I started watching my nephew play this game. And my nephew is he's around your age, he's actually in high school now. And I watched him play the game. And as he was playing this game, he went on to the first level, and as we know with games, you get to the level, the boss of that level, right? And now he was fighting this boss. The first level boss, he conquered him quite easily, right? But each time he went to a new level and he leveled up, the boss got a bit more complex, a bit more strong, and a bit more skillful. And what I noticed about him was that his confidence level went from high, but he started dropping a bit, and he started getting a bit frustrated as he was going level up and level up. Because the bosses of those levels started defeating him, and he got a bit frustrated about that. But there was one thing I realized, he didn't give up. After loads of painful defeats from different bosses as he leveled up, he learned something new, and he waited patiently until he defeated that boss. And it got me thinking, what else in life that I go through where he needed me to be patient? And the one thing I can tell you, and I can tell with you guys, is obviously your basketball training and your basketball skills. For me, it's my fitness. For us now, it's actually our fitness journey. Right. Today, of course, not everybody enjoyed burpees, but we have to be patient to get better at them. So in my journey, there were a few things that always needed a lot of patience for me to get better. It was a squat snatch, maybe running 200 meters to try and get a millisecond faster, or maybe a second faster on an 800 meter. But the one thing that really took a lot of patience was trying to master the double underskip, which I'm sure you guys do. One day, for sure, you guys are going to be trying out. So if you guys ever go on YouTube, right, if you type in CrossFit Games athletes, right, those athletes there make this look very easy. All these movements that I talked about, they make it look so easy that you think that they're just naturally gifted. But I can tell you, these guys work really hard, and they're very disciplined at their training. For me, myself, I honestly consider myself as a person that has zero talent, right? But I can tell you, and I can vouch for you, that I have loads of discipline and I have loads of energy to work hard to be a better athlete. It may take me longer to build my strength endurance, It may take me longer to build my cardiovascular capacity. It may take me longer to acquire a skill. But just like my nephew who didn't give up, I'm a person that doesn't give up. And I want to acquire them. So this brings me to the topic of my discussion. In my CrossFit journey, it's now 12 years I'm in it. There's been a few movements that really caught me out. One was the bar muscle up, which I can't really show you because there's no pull-up bar. The handstand walk that we practice, I couldn't do that. I was very nervous, like what you said. I said, no, I can't do that. But I wish somebody told me I can't do it yet.
Frank can do a muscle up.
Where?
Great.
Where?
Muscle up really hard. Let's see Shala. Say break.
That's really good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. But the one that was the most frustrating, and you guys are gonna laugh at this, is the double underskip. Now, let me demonstrate what the double underskip is. Right. So you know we guys do we do jumping jacks. You know we do jumping jacks. Starter. Alright. Now the reason why we do that is because it has carryover to single underskips. Alright. And that's pretty cool. Now the double underskip that I'm talking about is a bit more of a higher skill, and it takes a little bit more focus, as well as a little bit more cardiovascular endurance and stamina, as well as focus. So this is what a double underskip is. So that rope is going past my feet twice on one jump. Alright, so that's what makes it a bit more challenging. Now back to my story. Now believe it or not, this took me a very long time to get. It took me loads of bad sessions, countless trips, and even at one point a fellow coach mocked me. And they actually told me, how can you be a CrossFit coach if you can't even perform double under? My man, that hit hard. Hey, and it was a lady that told me that. Hey dude, that hit me hard. I was like, okay. I kind of wore me down. And during that season, I started partnering with a lie from the enemy that maybe I'm not a good coach. I can't get this skill. Maybe I'm just a failure at this. Maybe I should try something else. Right? But thanks to my elite level stubbornness, I didn't give up. I said I'm going to take this affliction or this trouble that I have with getting double unders, and I'm going to make it my strength. That season, chasing the double under came with a lot of resistance and minimal progress. By resistance, I mean I had so many bad sessions compared to good ones. And this is from like 2022 where I really started practicing. Right. There were days where I did a 10-minute skill work with double under. In 10 minutes, I only got 35. 35 in 10 minutes. Right. Those 5 that I did there took me like 5 seconds. Right. So you can imagine how frustrating it was. I know there were times where I actually took my rope out of my gym and I threw my rope out because I got so tired and so frustrated. It was so irritating. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Sometimes maybe going through some very difficult math problems or trying to answer a question, you just want to throw that textbook out the window. Alright, you get those challenges in life. Alright, but again, let me remind you that I'm not a talented athlete. It takes me longer to acquire skills. But I needed to go through those frustrating seasons to build my double under capacity, but especially my capacity for patience, because I was running out of patience when doing this. And just like basketball, there's some times where you're not really a good three-point shooter, right? And you need a lot of patience before getting better, and you need a lot of practice. Why? Because as much as a double under skip tests your aerobic capacity, your bounding endurance, and your shoulder stamina, they also place a significant demand on your motor skills. What I mean by motor skills is your balance, your coordination, your agility, and your accuracy. Exactly what you guys do here in your basketball training. You have to practice that in order to get better and refine. A motor skill is basically your nervous system that you need to refine, and it only gets better with practice. Right. Through consistent loading of sound mechanics, I was eventually able to add intensity and truly test my balance, coordination, and agility and accuracy. And let's not forget my patience under fatigue. The affliction was my loading phase of becoming a better athlete. Or what I mean is, my trouble, the troubles I went through, was my loading phase to become a better athlete. But I had to face those troubles again and again and again, until I made that skill, finally acquired, and it became mine. So I'll take you to a workout that I did recently. Not recently, I think it was in July 2025. So the guy that coaches me is based in America, and we work remotely. And one of my workouts, now remember I told you guys it took me 10 minutes to get 35 of these double unders. One of my workouts was exactly what we did there. 10 rounds, 35 double under, and 7 burpees. Now when I've seen this workout, I was like, wow, this is 350 double under. Right. And it took me from 2022 to this point to get better at it, so 3 years. So it was a test that I needed to go through. And I can tell you something. I performed that day, and all glory to God for this thing. I got my 350 double unders and I did my 70 burpees. And I'll never forget that day for the rest of my life. I'll tell you why. Right, but before I tell you why, I just want to go over the word of the week, because we can't forget that God was the one that gets the glory. Romans 9:12 to 16, but I'm just going to cut it short to 30. No, actually, let's read all of it. So it says, Paul, the apostle said, love must be sincere. Hate what is evil, cling to what is good, and be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never lacking in zeal, but keep spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction or trouble, and faithful in prayer. That's the one I want to talk about. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction or trouble, and faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. That's a hard one. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be proud, but be willing to associate with people in a low position. And don't be conceited. These words from Paul are very, very powerful, but it's a heavy mandate, because I fall short of it. And I'm sure many of us here will fall short of it. Because I'm sure as I'm going out here, there's going to be a taxi man that's going to cut me across, and I'm going to say, what's going on? And I'll forget it. But the thing is, I'm willing to try and be better. And that's what we should strive for. Because that taxi man is probably put over there by God to test my patience. Right. It's not something for us to fail. It's just for us to get better. Right. What I realized about that time from 2022 to 2025, last year, acquiring that skill of a double under, right, was God placed me in that situation to build my capacity in patience. That's where I needed to be, in that faith loading zone, in that patient loading zone, because it's for His good and my glory. Listen, I don't know what you guys are going through, any troubles in this season or affliction. Maybe you're having a troubled relationship with your teacher who just you don't see eye to eye with. Maybe there's a challenging course you're going through, a subject that you're going through in school. Maybe your teammates is giving you a heavy time. You know, maybe you guys are not seeing eye to eye there. Maybe you have an irritating brother or irritating sister that sometimes you wish that he gets adopted or she gets adopted and you don't have to see them. I really am not sure. But I can tell you, those seasons are hard and none of us want to go through them. But let's see it in this way and in this light. I believe these situations are opportunities for us to build our capacity in faith and build our capacity in patience. Proverbs 16:32 says, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control and than one who takes a city. Let me read that again. Proverbs 6 verse 32. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one that takes a city. That's powerful. You know who else had patience in the Bible? Anybody? Yeah? Job had patience. Yeah, Job was my man. Anyone else? Shoshi? Really? Anyone else? Joseph? What about Joseph? Joseph was sold by his brothers into slavery. Right? He was in prison for 13 years and then he became a high position leader in Egypt. Right? He was just one below the Pharaoh. Right, 13 years he had to wait. What about Moses? For 40 years he had to wait and take his people, the people of Israel, through the wilderness. And he didn't even get to see the promised land. How patient did he have to be? That's 40 years, eh? That's That's a long time. But you know who's the ultimate G in patience? It's Abraham. Abraham. He had to wait 100 years to see his firstborn child, because that child was going to be God's nation, people of his nation that he's going to be driving on his godly people. Forgive me for that. You see, as Christian, as Christ followers, we are called to become our greatest selves. We are called to consistently walk through that narrow gate, through the gate where there's going to be loads of resistance. There's going to be loads of more bad days than good. But remember what Paul said, we want to remain patient in trouble, because once you receive God's outcome, the enemy can't take it from you. In Jesus' name I proclaim it. Here's a lesson I've learned, and I keep relearning. I would rather have loads of bad days and bad seasons with Jesus than loads of good seasons without Jesus. So let's shift our view. Let's not look at affliction and trouble through despair and frustration, but a loading phase for patience. Because patience is something we can't buy, but it has to be acquired. And once you acquire that, even the enemy on his best day can't take you out on your worst day. Alright, and that's what I wanted to say about patience today. I hope that you guys had a heart open to hear it, as well as gathered something from it. I just want to close in prayer, and then we will be done. Come gather in, boys. Father in heaven, thank you for the to express our bodies through our minds and our souls. We pray that the fact that you open us up, open us up, those that don't have that possibility, their past, before them also. Wish that you can we want to break through, we want to make things, but we can't do it. Give us a safety to them, God. Give us your unfailing love, and also give us your mercy to make it mistake. Thank you, boys. We are waiting for you, Coach.